morning everybody. Today we will see the anatomy of larynx. In today's lecture we divide this lecture in two parts. So in today's lecture we will see introduction, situation and extent, size of larynx, constitution of larynx, cartilages of larynx, laryngeal joints, laryngeal ligaments and membranes, and cavity of larynx. So we know that larynx is a part of respiratory system. It is a part of lower respiratory system. It acts as a voice box. Okay, these vocal folds which are present in this larynx that vibrate and they will produce a voice. So this is a voice box. It is also organ of respiration and phonation. And this larynx acts as a watchdog because it prevents the entry of foreign body or foreign particles into the lower respiratory tract. So it is also called as a watchdog. So this is a larynx which is present in the midline. It is made up of various cartilages and it is present in the midline. Okay. Then what is the extent of larynx? This larynx extends from, this is a tongue. This is a root of tongue. So it extends from the root of tongue to the upper border of it present just behind the root of tongue and hyoid bone. Okay, and extend from upper border of this epiglottis to the lower border of cricoid cartilage. So according to the vertebral level, it lies opposite to the C3 to C6 level in male and C1 to C4 in female and children. The size of larynx in male, it is 44 millimeter in vertical diameter, 43 millimeter in transverse diameter, and 36 millimeter in anteroposterior diameter. That is in male. And in female, it is about 36 millimeter in vertical diameter or vertically, then 41 millimeter transversely, and 26 millimeter anteroposteriorly. So this is a size of larynx in male and female. So this constitution of larynx, it is formed by a skeleton of which is formed by the cartilages, and these cartilages are joined with each other by various joints, and it is also covered by these various ligaments, and fibroelastic membranes are there which connect these cartilages to one another. So it also consists of ligaments and membranes, and it also having the attachment of various muscle which acts on the vocal cord to produce the sound. So first we will see the cartilages of larynx. There are 9 cartilages of larynx. Out of that 3 are unpaired cartilage, that is thyroid, cricoid and epiglottis, and 3 are paired cartilage, that is arytenoid, corniculate and cuneiform cartilage. So 3 paired and 3 unpaired cartilages. All the laryngeal cartilages are hyaline in nature except epiglottis, which is elastic, then corniculate, cuneiform and vocal process and apex of arytenoid, that are made up of elastic fibrocartilage. So we may have an MCQ over it. First we will see about let us see one by one thyroid cartilage. So this thyroid means shield-like structure. So it is a V-shaped and it is shield-like to protect the larynx. So it lies opposite to C4 and C5 vertebrae. It is having 2 laminae which are joined anteriorly in the midline. Okay, in front it will be forming this thyroid angle, and this thyroid angle, it is about 90 degree in male and 120 degree in female. Each lamina is having 4 borders. One is the superior border which is convex and concave. Okay, then this is the anterior border. So this anterior border, it is fused in the lower part to form a thyroid angle, and it is unfused in the upper part which will be forming the thyroid notch. So this is the anterior border of thyroid cartilage. Then this is the lower border of thyroid cartilage. This lower border is convex in the anterior part and concave in the posterior part. Then it is having 2 surfaces. One is the outer surface. So this is the outer surface and this one is the inner surface of larynx. One border is remaining, that is a posterior border, which is free border, you can see. Okay, and it will be extended superiorly and inferiorly in the forms of horns. That is a superior horn of thyroid cartilage and inferior horn of thyroid cartilage. And this angle of the thyroid cartilage, that is more prominent in male, that is called as a Adam's apple. Okay, so let us see one by one. The upper border, which is convex and concave, that is in the medial part it is convex and in the lateral part it is concave. Lower border, it is a convex in the anteriorly and concave in the posterior part. Okay, then anterior border, you have seen that it is fused in the lower part and unfused it will forming a notch, that is the superior thyroid notch in the upper part. Then posterior border, it is extend above, that is the superior horn, and below as a inferior horn. Superior horn gives attachment to the thyroid ligament, and inferior horn articulates with the cricoid cartilage to form the cricothyroid joint, which is synovial joint. Then outer surface of this cartilage, this is the outer surface. You can see that there is a rough oblique ridge which extends from the superior thyroid tubercle up to the inferior thyroid tubercle, which extend downward and forward. So this inferior thyroid tubercle, that is present just behind the middle of the inferior border. So here you can see that rough oblique ridge which gives attachment to the various muscles of pharynx. So what are the attachments? So this upper border, you have seen, it gives attachment to the thyroid membrane. So this thyroid membrane is attached above to the body of hyoid bone as well as lower border of hyoid bone and greater corner of hyoid bone, and inferiorly it is attached to this upper border of this thyroid cartilage. This is superior angle of posterior border, superior corner of posterior border. It gives attachment, that is nothing but a thickened portion of this thyroid membrane, that is a thyroid ligament. Okay, so this is the attachment of a upper border or superior border. Then this one is the inferior border. It will give attachment to the conus elasticus. That is the one ligament is there, that is called as a conus elasticus, and also it will give attachment to the cricothyroid muscle. That is a cricothyroid muscle to the inferior border, which arises from this cricoid cartilage and inserted on the thyroid cartilage. Okay, so these are the attachments of this superior border and inferior border of this thyroid cartilage. Then posterior border, you can see that there is a insertion of these three muscles, which are the three longitudinal muscles of pharynx. One is a palatopharyngeus, second one is a salpingopharyngeus and stylopharyngeus, which are inserted on this posterior border of a thyroid lamina. Then this is the anterior rough surface or outer rough surface. You have seen that there is a one oblique ridge, so it will give attachment to this. Just above the oblique ridge there is a one muscle, that is called as a thyroid muscle, arising from the thyroid cartilage up to the hyoid bone. So this is also called as the extrinsic muscle of a larynx. Then there is again one muscle, that is called as sternohyoid, which arising from the sternum and inserted into the thyroid cartilage, sternothyroid muscle. Then next is the inferior constrictor of a pharynx. So these three constrictors are there, superior, middle and inferior. So thyropharyngeal part of this inferior constrictor arising from this oblique, just below this oblique ridge of a thyroid cartilage on the outer surface of thyroid cartilage. Then this cricothyroid joint, which is present between this inferior cornu and junction of lamina and the arch of cricoid cartilage. It is a synovial joint, and this recurrent laryngeal nerve enters into the larynx just behind this joint. One more nerve, that is the internal laryngeal nerve, also enter here through this thyroid membrane. Then it is also related, outer surface is also related to the apex of thyroid gland or thyroid lobule. This thyroid gland extend up to this oblique ridge. It is sandwiched between this sternothyroid and thyropharyngeal part of an inferior constrictor. So these are the attachments of the borders and the outer surface of this thyroid cartilage. Then this is the inner surface of thyroid cartilage. So you have seen that this one is a shield-like structure which is present anteriorly. It is having two lamina and it is a V-shaped in structure. Lamina are fused anteriorly. So one more cartilage, that is the epiglottis, it is connected to this thyroid cartilage through the thyroepiglottic ligament. So you can see in the angle on the medial surface or inner surface, you can see there is attachment of thyroepiglottic ligament. Lower end of epiglottis is attached to this thyroid angle, that is a thyroepiglottic ligament. If you go downward, you can see that there are two vestibular folds. So this is a quadrate membrane which extend between this thyroid cartilage. Then this one is the epiglottis and this is ariepiglottic fold and this is the arytenoid cartilage. So this lower fold or lower edge of this quadrate membrane is called the vestibular ligament or vestibular fold, which consists of vestibular ligament that is attached just beneath this thyroepiglottic ligament on the medial surface of this or inner surface of thyroid cartilage. Then next is this one is the vocal ligament. Just beneath or below this vestibular ligament, you can see that in the median plane there is a attachment of a vocal ligament with vocalis muscle. Okay, and also it consists of thyroepiglotticus muscle. From thyroid cartilage to epiglottis, that is the thyroepiglotticus muscle, and from thyroid cartilage, arytenoid cartilage to the epiglottis, that is the ariepiglotticus muscle. So here you can see that this is the thyroepiglotticus muscle. Then you can see that there is a thyroarytenoid muscle and you can see that there is a vocalis muscle. So these are the muscles which are attached on the inner surface and ligaments which are attached on the inner surface of thyroid cartilage. So this is about the thyroid cartilage. It is hyaline in nature. The next cartilage is a cricoid cartilage. It is a signet shaped. It is a complete ring and this ring is narrow anteriorly and broad posteriorly. So anteriorly it forms the arch of cricoid cartilage and this arch again upper lip it is broad and it is having outer lamina or outer lip and inner lip, that is the anterior arch. Posteriorly it is broad and it is in the form of lamina. So this is a posteriorly lamina is there. And here it articulates with the arytenoid cartilage. Posteriorly it articulates with the arytenoid cartilage. And at the junction of this anterior arch and this posterior lamina, it articulates with the inferior corner of a thyroid bone or thyroid cartilage. Okay, and this forming this cricothyroid joint and this one is forming the cricoarytenoid joint. Both joints are synovial joint and this cricoid cartilage it is present at the level of C6 vertebra. Then anterior border we have seen that it is having upper and lower border. Again upper border is having inner and outer lip. What are the attachments of this cricoid cartilage? Upper border it is a give attachment to the or it is having two lips, inner lip and outer lip. So outer lip it gives attachment to the lateral cricoarytenoid muscle. It gives attachment to the lateral crico, means arising from the cricoid cartilage inserted on the muscular process of a arytenoid cartilage. And this inner lip it gives attachment to the cricovocal membrane. Okay, so this is the cricovocal membrane and this is the vocal ligament which is attached between this vocal process of a arytenoid cartilage and the thyroid angle. Then cricoarytenoid joint is present between this lamina of a arytenoid cricoid cartilage and base of a arytenoid cartilage. Then lower border, first it articulates with the first ring of a or trachea. first ring of trachea, and it gives attachment to the cricotracheal ligament. It gives attachment to the cricotracheal ligament. Again, it is having outer surface which will give origin to the cricothyroid muscle anteriorly, and inferior constrictor of a pharynx, that is a cricopharyngeal part, which is a sphincter of a pharynx, that is a cricopharyngeal part of a inferior constrictor muscle of a pharynx. And inner surface of this anterior arch of cricoid cartilage, it is lined by a respiratory epithelium, that is a ciliated columnar epithelium. Then posteriorly broad quadrilateral in shape in the form of a lamina, and this lamina is having upper border, then it is having lower border. Okay, upper border, it will forming the cricoarytenoid joint. On each side, two arytenoid cartilages are articulating with this upper border. Then anterior surface of this lamina, it is also lined by the mucous membrane, and which is lined by the ciliated columnar epithelium. Then posterior surface of this lamina of a cricoid cartilage, you can see that here. Two depressions you can see, and that will give origin to this muscle, that is a posterior cricoarytenoid, which is a main abductor of a vocal cord. It is a life-saving muscle. Okay, so this is the posterior surface of a lamina of a cricoid cartilage, and in the median plane it will give attachment to the tendon of esophagus. Then next is a unpaired cartilage, is a epiglottis. It is a leaf-shaped structure, and it is unpaired. It is elastic in nature. It is having two ends, upper end and lower end. Upper end is broad and it is free. It forms an inlet of larynx, and lower end it will be joined with the thyroid cartilage with the thyroepiglottic ligament at the angle of this thyroid cartilage on the inner aspect. Then anterior surface and posterior surfaces are there, and two borders are there. So this is the anterior surface of a epiglottis. So in the median plane it is attached to this, it lies behind the root of a tongue. So it is attached to this root of a tongue by three folds, that is a one median glossoepiglottic fold and two lateral glossoepiglottic fold, and the space between these two folds are called as a valleculae. You can see these are the valleculae. So this is the anterior surface, and it is also connected to the hyoid bone by hyoepiglottic ligament. Here you can see that thyroid cartilage connected with the hyoid bone by thyrohyoid membrane. So this is the anterior surface which is lined by a stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium. Then posterior surface, you can see that it gives attachment to this quadrate membrane, and lower free end of this quadrate membrane is formed a vestibular fold, and posteriorly it is also attached to this quadrate membrane, is also attached to this arytenoid cartilage, and there is a fold between this arytenoid and epiglottis, that is the aryepiglottic fold. And this aryepiglottic fold, it consists of two cartilages, paired cartilages, that are corniculate and cuneiform, as well as it consists of a muscle, that is the aryepiglotticus muscle, and one muscle is there that is called as a thyroepiglotticus muscle, which is attached over this border of this thyroid cartilage. Okay, and this epithelium of this posterior surface is a ciliated columnar epithelium. Lateral edges of this thyroid epiglottis, it gives aryepiglottic and aryepiglotticus muscle and thyroepiglotticus muscle. Then next, so these are the unpaired cartilage. One is a thyroid, second one is a cricoid and epiglottis. Out of that, epiglottis is the elastic and remaining are the hyaline cartilages. Then next is the arytenoid cartilage. It is a cup shaped, you can read it in the Greek, that is a cup shaped cartilage. So what is the shape of this cartilage? It is a pyramidal in shape. So it is having one apex. So it is having apex which is curved posteromedially, and articulates with the corniculate cartilage. Okay, then this is the base, and here you can see that there are the facets for the articulation with the cricoid lamina to form a cricoarytenoid joint. So one is the apex, one is the base. Okay, then next is the three surfaces are there. One is the medial surface which is facing towards the laryngeal cavity. Then it also having anterolateral surface and posterior surface. So three surfaces, one apex, one base is there, and also it from the base there are the projections, and that are called as the processes of this arytenoid cartilage. One is the vocal process which is prolonged anteriorly. So these are the vocal process, and next is the muscular process which prolong laterally, and it gives attachment to the muscles, two muscles, anteriorly cricoarytenoid muscle and posteriorly also posterior cricoarytenoid and anteriorly lateral cricoarytenoid muscle. So what are the attachments of this arytenoid cartilage? See that apex, it articulates with the corniculate cartilage. It gives attachment to the epiglottic fold. Also there is a attachment of this oblique arytenoid muscle. Okay, and also there is a attachment of a epiglotticus muscle. These are the attachment of apex. So apex is articulating with the corniculate cartilage. It gives attachment to this oblique arytenoid muscle. Then it will give epiglotticus muscle and fold, that is epiglottic fold. Then base, which will forming the synovial joint with this lamina of a cricoid cartilage. Then vocal process is there. Anteriorly you can see that vocal process, it gives attachment to the vocal ligament or vocal fold, which consists of vocalis muscle, Then above it gives attachment to the vestibular fold, and it will give attachment to this muscles that are the anterior surface, that is the thyroarytenoid muscle. Then also it will give attachment to the epiglotticus muscle. Okay, so these are the attachment of the apex, vocal process. Now the muscular process, anteriorly lateral cricoarytenoid and posteriorly posterior cricoarytenoid muscle. So these are the attachment of a muscular process. Okay, and posterior surface, you can see that this is the posterior surface. It will give transversus arytenoidus muscle, which attach the posterior surface of one arytenoid cartilage to the another cartilage. And from this muscular process, one muscle is there which crosses obliquely and inserted on the apex of opposite arytenoid, that is obliquus arytenoidus muscle, that are attached to this posterior aspect of this arytenoid cartilage. And this quadrate membrane, you have seen that it lies between this arytenoid cartilage, epiglottis and thyroid cartilage. And this joint, synovial joint, it allows the rotatory as well as gliding movement around the transverse axis. The next cartilages are paired cartilages, that is the corniculate and cuneiform. In this arytenoid cartilage, it is a hyaline in nature except the vocal process and apex, which are elastic in nature. Corniculate, it is also called as a centenary cartilage. It is a horn-shaped cartilage. Two small conical nodules are there which are present in the thyroarytenoid fold, and it articulates with this apex of a arytenoid cartilage. It is directed posteromedially in the posterior part of a epiglottis. Then next epiglottic fold. Then next is the cuneiform cartilage, that is called the Risberg cartilage. It is a rod-shaped cartilage and it lies in the epiglottic fold just ventral to the corniculate cartilage. It acts as a prop and keep the epiglottic fold upright, and it prevents the entry of foreign particles inside the larynx or foreign material inside the larynx. That's why it is acts as a watchdog. So these are the paired cartilages of larynx. This epiglottis, corniculate and cuneiform cartilages are elastic in nature. So this is the review of cartilages. This is the thyroid cartilage, superior horn, inferior horn, laryngeal angle or Adam's apple or laryngeal prominence is there. Then outer surface and inner surface. This one, superior horn, gives attachment to the between hyoid bone and thyroid cartilage, that is the thyrohyoid ligament. Upper border, thyrohyoid membrane. Then this is the inferior border, conus elasticus, and this inferior horn articulates with the cricoid cartilage. Okay, it is a shield like structure. V-shaped cartilage is there. This rough ridge gives attachment to the thyrohyoid muscle, then also sternothyroid muscle and inferior constrictor of a pharynx. This lower border, it gives cricothyroid ligament or conus elastic attachment. Then also it gives attachment to this muscle, that is a cricothyroid muscle, which arising from the lateral aspect or anterior outer surface of a anterior arch and inserted on this inferior border of this thyroid cartilage. It is having again straight part and oblique part. We will see in next lecture. Then next is the cricoid cartilage. Anteriorly ring is there, posteriorly lamina is there, and it articulates with this arytenoid cartilage, this laminum, and this anterior arch of a cricoid cartilage. Signet ring shaped cartilage is there. Then these are the arytenoid cartilage. It is having apex, base, vocal process and muscular process. Three surfaces are there: medial surface, anterolateral surface and posterior surfaces are there. This apex is articulating with the corniculate cartilage, and this corniculate cartilage again articulates with the cuneiform cartilage. Okay, so this is just a review of this thyroid cartilages. Then this thyroid cartilage that are articulating with each other to forming the various joints that are called the laryngeal joints. So what are the laryngeal joints? One is the cricothyroid joint between the inferior corner of a thyroid cartilage and the side of cricoid cartilage. It is a synovial type of joint, and it allows the rotatory and gliding movements around the transverse axis, and it permits the tension and relaxation of vocal cords. We will see later on what are the muscles or how this tension and relaxation of vocal cords occur in the next lecture. Then next joint is a cricoarytenoid joint between the base of arytenoid cartilage and the upper border of lamina of cricoid cartilage. It is also a synovial joint. It allows the rotatory and gliding movements around the vertical axis, and it permits the abduction and adduction of vocal cords. Okay, so these are the joints of a larynx. Then next is the laryngeal ligaments and membranes. Again, there are two types of membranes. One lies externally, or these are attaching these laryngeal cartilages with the other structures that are the extrinsic. In that, thyrohyoid membrane between the thyroid cartilage and hyoid bone, that is a thyrohyoid membrane. Then next is the between this cricoid cartilage and trachea, that is a cricotracheal ligament. Okay, and there is a membrane which is present, that is a cricothyroid membrane, which will forming the median cricothyroid ligament. So these are the extrinsic ligaments. One is attaching, that is the epiglottis, to the hyoid bone, that is the hyoepiglottic ligament. Then next is the laryngeal ligaments and membranes, that is the intrinsic laryngeal ligaments and membrane. You have seen that this is a hyoepiglottic ligament, this is the thyrohyoid membrane, and this one is the cricotracheal ligament. So these are the extrinsic ligaments of a larynx. On the inner aspect, you can see that there is a fold or membrane is there, that is called as a quadrangular membrane. Lower edge, that is a vestibular ligament. In the lower part, you can see that there is a conus elasticus. Okay, and upper end or upper margin, that is forming a vocal ligament, and this is the median cricovocal ligament. So these are the various ligaments which are present, or membranes which are present inside the cavity of larynx. And this thyroepiglottic ligament, which is also present on the inner side. So these are the intrinsic ligament of a larynx, and these are the extrinsic ligaments of larynx. Then next is the cavity of larynx. So this cavity of larynx, it extends from the inlet of larynx. Then it is having three parts. One is a rima vestibuli or supraglottic part. That is between this vestibular fold, this part of a laryngeal cavity is called as supraglottic part. The space between these two vestibular fold is a rima vestibuli. Then next there is a sinus of larynx. So this is a rima vestibuli, this is a supraglottic part, and this is a sinus of larynx which is having one extension, that is called as a saccule of larynx or ventricle of larynx is there. Okay, and just below that you can see between these two vocal fold or vocal ligament, that is called as a glottic part of a larynx, and just below it, that is the infraglottic part of a larynx. This sinus is called as sinus of Morgagni. If you remove all the skeleton, you can see that this is the vestibule between these two vestibular fold. Then this is the rima vestibuli. Then this is the sinus of larynx. This is the rima glottidis. Okay, and this one is the infraglottic part of a larynx. So we will see one by one. One is a laryngeal inlet. It is placed obliquely. It looks upward and backward. It opens into the laryngopharynx. What are the boundaries? Anteriorly, there is an upper edge of epiglottis. On each side, you can see that there is a fold that is called as a ariepiglottic fold, which consists of corniculate and cuneiform cartilage as well as ariepiglotticus muscle. Then what is that inner diameter? Internal diameter of this laryngeal inlet, that is up to 3 years, it is about 3 millimeter, and then every year it increases by 1 millimeter up to 12 years. So this is the laryngeal inlet which guards the larynx. It prevents the entry of foreign particle inside this lower respiratory tract or inside the larynx, that is the laryngeal inlet. So when there is any foreign particle is there, or during the act of swallowing, there is a lid-like closure is there, that is these muscles, ariepiglotticus muscle closes and approximate towards this elastic cartilage, that is the epiglottis. We have seen that this is the cavity of larynx. There is the rima vestibuli between these two folds, vestibular fold. This is the rima vestibuli. This is a vestibule of a larynx just beneath this laryngeal inlet. Okay, this cavity which is present between these two fold, vestibular fold, or these are also called as a false vocal fold. Okay, then this is a rima glottidis, that is a space between these two vocal cords or vocal ligament. Okay, so this is a rima glottidis. The narrowest part of the larynx is there. Okay, and this is about 23 millimeter in male and 17 millimeter in female. So it is having intermembranous part between these two vocal fold. This is the anterior intermembranous part, that is near about 3/5 is the intermembranous, and posterior 2/5 is the between these two cartilages, that is the arytenoid cartilage. So this is having a rima glottidis anterior intermembranous part and posterior intercartilaginous part. The part above the vestibular fold is called as a vestibule or supraglottic part. Okay, this is the rima vestibuli. This is the sinus or ventricle of a larynx, and this is a rima glottidis. And this sinus is also, or ventricle is also called as sinus of Morgagni. You have seen that there is extension that is called as saccule, and this saccule acts as a oil can which consists of various mucous cells or goblet glands. Goblet cells and mucous glands are there which will lubricate these vocal cords. So this saccule of a larynx, that is nothing but a oil can of a larynx. Then next is what is the mucous membrane. You have seen that this is a part of a respiratory passage. So respiratory epithelium is there. This epiglottis or epiglottic fold and vocal fold are lined by the stratified squamous epithelium, and rest of the mucous membrane lined by this ciliated columnar epithelium. And this is loosely attached to the cartilage except over the vocal ligament and posterior surface of a epiglottis. These mucous glands are absent over the vocal cords, otherwise these are scattered in the cavity of a larynx. So first you have seen that cartilages of larynx, then inside that cartilages there are the membranes, quadrate membrane and conus elasticus. These are the fibroelastic membranes are there, and these are again lined by this mucous membrane which is having ciliated columnar epithelium. And in some part epiglottis or epiglottic fold and vocal fold there is a stratified squamous epithelium, and this vocal fold or vocal cords are devoid of a mucous gland, and other cavities again having various mucous glands or in the form of goblet cells also. This mucous membrane, it is loosely attached to the cartilages except at the vocal ligament and over this posterior surface of a epiglottis. So this is all about this laryngeal cartilages, laryngeal cavity, and or today's lecture, that is the first lecture or larynx 1. In next part we will see about this, what are the muscles of larynx, then how they act on the vocal cord, how they change the shape of this rima glottidis, what is the shape of rima glottidis in speaking, in whispering, loud speaking, okay, and how they act as a abduction and adduction, which muscle carries, and what are the origin, insertion of that muscle, and what is the nerve supply of that muscle. And lastly, that is the applied anatomy of larynx, and we will see this in short the mechanism of a speech. Okay, any doubt?